Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is DB333, and welcome back to Russia in TNO, Last Days of Europe, Dreams of Federation, Second West Russian War. That's not how the order goes, but we'll just go with it. Last video, started working on our military, doing some voting stuff, and all that stuff. Oh my god, he did the intro. I did. Here we go. We also started working on some army stuff, because we're going to have to get working on that eventually. Thank you for Hydrate Burb. And then, eventually, I think in this episode we might have time to get into Vladivostok. I'd imagine that might be the case, at least. You have nobody on the northern border. I know. I'm gonna finish up here and then send those troops up here. That's the plan. Because these guys, Finland is... They're a pact observer, but they're not in the pact. So I think we're good. The train was nearly at its destination. The snow had cleared ahead of him, revealing the city of Samara ahead, where he would join his compatriots of the all-Russian army. Back home in Tomsk, his wife hadn't approved, but he was adamant. She knew him well, and perhaps she would have convinced him to stay, but she didn't press. She told him he had to promise to write, and he accepted. The time he remembered something. She had given him a letter and told him to open it when he left the station, but he had forgotten to do so. He withdrew his wife's letter from his jacket pocket and broke a wax seal. In his wife's ornate handwriting was a small greeting, a wish for him to pray to Christ, and something he had not expected. I will pray for your safety, dearest, and your protection. I wanted to tell you something to give you hope, to give you strength. I would have told you on that day, but I knew it would keep you by me, and you would have regretted it for the rest of your life. I urge you to continue your journey. Our second son's name shall be Alexander. Volody gritted his teeth as the train finally stopped. He stood up and looked towards the west, a look of determination in his eyes. He had another son on the way, one that he could not allow to grow up without a father. He needed to get home, but before he could do that, there was something he had to do. For the good of his family and his country, Russia will be whole again. There we go. Let's do some of that. A little bit of that, too. Why not? And, yeah. There we go. And, get better research facilities. There we go. And a decrease in poverty. Excellent. That is beautiful to see. 10 to 15% poverty rate. I don't think I've seen that since, like, last time I played America or something. How does our Air Force stack up? I'm curious about that myself. And we don't have that many airplanes, apparently. Compare that to... That's weird. I thought we were building more planes. I'm confused on that. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I guess we're really not competing, are we? Oh, okay. I haven't deployed them. That explains it. Also start building more. Okay, it only shows deployed planes. That makes more sense. I was concerned for a second. Advanced or improve? Which is it advanced or improve at first? Imagine advanced. Alright, so I'm sure we will stack up a bit better then. Now that we have that in mind. Nikolai Orlov jaunted to work as he bit into the perfect egg sandwich. 2 slices of fresh tomato from his wife's garden, 2 hunks of toasted and buttered bread, a single egg fried in butter, salted, prepared, and dusted gently with garlic powder. It was heavenly, the kind of sandwich he never could have made in the anarchy. Shukshi and the Federation had done good by him. As Nikolai walked down the beaten country path, a portable radio carrier began to mutter. Brothers and sisters of Western Siberia, when you march to the polls this election day, vote for the prosperity and patriotism. Vote for the pro-business policies we need to rebuild our home. Vote Alexei Novikov. Nikolai smiled at his sandwich and continued on his way home. By the time Nikolai had arrived at the front gates of Titan Laboratory Equipment Incorporated, his fingers were coated in tomato juice and egg yolk. With 7 minutes before his shift started, he tiptoed to the men's bathroom, stopping on the way to offer a quick good morning to his good friend Nene. Odd guy, but kind. As Nikolai scrubbed his calloused hands under a stream of cool water, dozens of posters emblazoned with the flag of Federation loomed behind him. A vote for Novikov is a vote for Moscow. Ow, one shouted. Prosperity and freedom, patriotism and liberty. Vote Novikov, its brother screamed. As he stepped onto the working floor, dozens of machines whirled before him, cutting glass shapes in plastic and ejecting malformed product. He smiled. Looked like the night shift hadn't broken anything too important for once. Nikolai strode to his workstation, affixed by his safety goggles, and began his workday. 5 minutes passed before Mr. Vinogradov, a supervisor, passed by his workstation. Nikolai, hope you're doing well. How's the old girl doing? Nikolai shot a smile at his manager. Stronger than mule's kick, sir. I think we'll meet quota today. Vinogradov nodded. Good, I'll note that down. By the way, corporate asked me to pass on that election day will be a company holiday. Who are you going to vote for? Nikolai scratched his chin and thought for a moment, and then found his answer. I think I'll vote for Novikov, sir. Well, there you go. So how are we doing popularity-wise? We're supportive of us, I just want to make sure, because I think we'll go ahead and do strength in numbers. The All-Russian Army is a strong, modern, expert force that has proven far superior to the former Soviet Red Army. The battles they fought in the unification of Motherland have proven that they are an experienced force that ought to be feared by the armies that occupy a native Moscow. But if there is one thing the former Red Army had that the All-Russian Army does not, is numbers. The Russian Federation is to stand strong against their occupiers and push them back to their native lands. We require greater numbers on the field to match the strength of their armies. Now that works for me. And we'll go ahead, do a bit of a lobbying effort. Got the anti-air going. Get radar stations. There we go. Sure, we got a lot of fighters in here. Hoping this will be good. And then select this. Get rid of all that. Originally got a new PC that can actually play TNO. Immediately played Novosibirsk halfway towards Berlin when I got nuked. You hate to hear it. You hate to hear it. You think about Second West Russian Wars, watching all the German city names change to chat Russian ones as you say city after. Man, I'm looking forward to that. And that's one of the things I really like about EU4 and Kaiserreich, because the Kaiserreich does that. When you take over a city, it will sometimes change over to a nativized name, and I think that's cool as hell. Anyhow, Vladimir observed the recruits standing shoulder to shoulder, remaining quiet as he sized them up. The new batch wasn't much to look at, but this was to be expected, with the all-Russian army loosening its standards. Vladimir understood why this was done. President Shukshin was on the warpath, his eyes focused on the old capital, Moscow. The Federation would need as many troops as it could muster if they were to repel the Wehrmacht from Eastern Europe. That didn't mean he had to like training the next generation of Russian soldiers for the next few years, though. My name is Vladimir Orlov. You have to refer to me as either Sergeant Orlov or just Sergeant. Through your training, you will learn how to fire various types of weaponry, how to work together as a combat team on the ground, and how to survive on the battlefield. No matter what, you are to obey not only my orders, but the orders of all your superiors during your time in this army. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Sergeant! Vladimir nodded before turning around to a long table that was lined with the standard issue AKM rifle. I want each of you to take a rifle from the table and proceed to the firing range. I want to see how your aim is. Don't bother fighting over the guns. There's one for each of you, all exactly the same. Vladimir ordered, and the recruits obeyed, grabbing a rifle and proceeding to the firing range as instructed. Vladimir watched them fiddle with the rifles for a moment before sighing to himself. Let's get to work. I've been holding off on this, if only because of the monthly population hit, but we might as well get to it now. Let's promote women's rights. It's not just the sons of motherland that make it truly great, but also her daughters. Without the strength and resilience of women in Russia, the nation would have died long before the Reich came. President Shukshin wants to ensure that their voices are heard in the Federal Assembly, the contributions to Russian society recognized. The battle for the rights of women isn't only a political issue, but a social issue. We must educate the average Russian of the brilliant deeds of Russian women and get all Russians on board with the equality movement. Let's go ahead and give a speech. Up our popularity. And then, what from here? What from here? Let's get some infrastructure going. Yeah. Already commented on it. That one. Let's work on the top of the Kola Peninsula as well. Oh, did the pie chart just... Yeah, it just moved in front of me. That's interesting. Arina fumbled for voting, slipped nervously. She waited patiently in line to vote. Though she had already been queuing for an hour and the line remained nowhere near ending, her spirit remained undiminished. A Russian woman! Voting! Just a year ago, the phrase would have been taken as a bad joke by some, foolish ideals, and by others. A decade ago, the average Russian would have already been considered lucky if they'd been under one of the more merciful, idealistic warlord states. But now the standard of living for the average Russian had skyrocketed since reunification. There was a long way to go before Russia could become a utopia for the people in it, but it was getting there. As a young girl neared the voting booth, she started getting anxious. Was it the person she was planning to vote for really the right choice? What if the other person was a better candidate? Or did she accidentally vote for the wrong candidate? For a split second, she felt like leaving, but thousands of other people had fought for her to be able to vote. The president fought for her right to vote. It would be insulting to them if she had just stayed at home. She steeled her nerves and tried to calm down. After she entered the booth and filled in her ballot, she carefully circled the name of the person she had planned to vote for. It was not until she had slipped the paper into the box that she felt a weight lift itself off her heart and had a sudden realization. Her vote was going to be counted. Sure, it was a bit of a childish thing to be proud of, but it just felt so thrilling. The young woman giggled to herself. She began to walk home. She cannot explain it, really. For some reason, she felt like a part of a bigger picture for once. A cause bigger than herself. A piece of history. Every woman can impact the new Russia. Let's do a new federal constitution. After many drafts and much discussion amongst the members of a new federative assembly, a new constitution has been created for the Federation. A new constitution that protects each and every lawful citizen's right to freedom of speech, to assemble peacefully, and to live freely without needing to worry about the government. Naturally, Civics are outraged by this, as it would essentially eliminate any chance of them regaining the power they once had over the Federation. Both them and the minority, there's little they can do to stop it from passing. First time in who knows how long, the Russian people shall finally know true freedom. Start negotiating with Tokyo yet for Vladivostok and Trans-Amur yet. I cannot do that until we finish this and this. So we got some time before we can start. How's America doing? They got a Glenny boy. That's an unfortunate amount of communist support. It's interesting. I know, man. Very, very fun. Very based indeed. Let's get some better radar. And then, what do we want from here? What do we want from here? I don't know if it matters too much. Yeah, it's funny spaceman. Hee. We got a solid majority, so I'm not worried about us losing support or falling out of support anytime soon. We might just save up the political power at this point. I think I'll work on a few dockyards. There we go. Sure, we still got plenty of room. Let's do, I guess, some anti-air and Mogadon. That makes sense for roleplay reasons. Same with Kamchatka. I don't know. We're just getting to like roleplay. Actually, this part of Kazakhstan is a smart place to build it to. Let's do that. Vasily Stalin final draft of Federation's new constitution with a warm smile on his face. The Federal Assembly just voted on it, despite the protests of Sloviki. The new constitution passed with flying colors. There was a knock on the door, and standing there was Alexander Pekrishkin with 2 glasses in one hand and a bottle of vodka in another. May I come in? Shukshi nodded and signaled for his old friend to enter the office. Alexander did so, taking a seat and placing the items on the president's desk. What brings you here, Alexander? I thought I'd come by and share a drink with you, old friend. Pekrishkin replied as he poured a reasonable amount of alcohol into each glass. Well, why? I'm glad you came, Alexander, but last time I checked, you were against the new constitution. I'm not pleased about it, I must admit, but this is not about my defeat, but your victory. Besides, what kind of friend would I be if I did not support your achievement tonight? Vasily smiled as he raised his glass in the air. To better days, my friend. Bagratión was silent for a moment before raising his own glass with a smile. To better days, President Shukshin. So, with that in mind, the Russian dream. Let's go. When the Soviet Union fell all those years ago, many believed that the dream of Russia fell with it too. The promises of prosperity made by Bukharin fell to pieces with the fall of Moscow, the failures of the front. Things are different now. On the streets, whispers of hope could be heard. Every day, thousands of Russians were escaping poverty and reaching prosperity. New businesses were opening across the nation. With the conclusion of the national reformation, the people of the Russian Federation have finally achieved the very thing President Shukshin has long promised since his inauguration. The Russian dream. Let's get advanced special forces. And we need more rubber shit. I didn't quite notice that. Let's try with Japan. Oh, Shiza, right. Okay, he's not quite gone sick man, but she's kind of just making real Russia of the United States of vodka, I just realized. I sort of see that, yeah. Levels of pace beyond measurement. Damn, he's doing Petlin's job better than Petlin right now. Nikolai had to blink back tears. He didn't believe it. Since the days of the Soviet Union, he never felt anything but despair. His life had been constant suffering, relatable. He lost his father in Moscow, his mother and little brother succumbed to hunger, while his sister had been worked to death in the factories of Perm, making bullets for the Nazi bastards. All the while he barely survived, stay alive by living off the wilderness. So one of Russia's many warlords vying for power finally managed to unite Western Russia. He was employed as a lowly factory worker, working long shifts in dangerous conditions to get the bare minimum to eat. No matter how many times Perm changed hands in ensuing wars, he remained poor, desperate, and sick, seemingly destined for a life of nothing but torment. But that would all end tomorrow. Just as he lost all hope in his life, he heard the news. The current ruler of West Russia had surrendered to the Siberian Federation, reuniting the Russian nation after 3 decades of division. At first he had been optimistic, but he soon realized President Shukshin was trying to change the Federation for the better. As some time passed, his work hours got shorter. His wages got higher, and the government was actually putting people at a profit. For passing of the Voting Rights Act, he could vote. For the first time, the beaten and broken young man could envision a brighter future, one better than toiling in the factories or dying on the front lines. For once, he could dream of a better life. And so, like many others, he dreamt. So we got that, we got this, and then we're going to Tokyo. And then after that, Russian to Moscow. Despite his losses in the recent presidential election, Bagratión has decided to continue working with the new government of the Federation, whatever reasons he may have, whether that be to retain power someday or maintain stability and unity among the Siloviki. His experience as both a leader and an ace pilot during Operation Barbarossa is invaluable. Perhaps now would be a good time to approach the Siberian Falcon and ask for his assistance in reforming the Russian Federation for the conflict ahead. The military of the Russian Federation, I should just clarify. Alright, so we'll get this army. Do I have any mountaineers? No, not quite, but I could do a winter expert. I'll give you that, buddy. Any traits I can give these guys, gals? We're working on factories in the stands. Why not? And then from here... Get a nuclear reactor there. Refineries here. Yeah, why not? And then... I never really noticed how Precursion looks kind of off. Like, not the portrait, but it's a weird-looking guy to me. Yeah, I get that. I mean, it looks like they took his picture and put the smile smile face filter on there, and that's how they add the smile. So that looks a little weird to me. I get that. Former president of the Federation strode into the Shukshin's brand new office, overlooking the Maidope River. Thus, President Shukshin, what'd you call me in your office for? Siberian Falcon asked carefully. The president of the Federation waved his hand submissively. Poopcock, thank you for that, Mike. Thank you. Call me Vasily. We're old friends. There's no need for pleasantries. Please have a seat. But Grishkin hesitated for a moment before slowly nodding and sitting down. I called you here because, as you know, we're going to war with the Germans soon to retake Moscow. But Grishkin's eyes practically bulged out of his sockets. Soon? We just reunited Russia. With your recent reforms, the nation's nowhere stable enough to... cheer up, your old corporation lover. Shukshin grinned, slapping his hand on the Falcon's shoulder, albeit with a bit too much force as the old man winced. I've done the numbers already. With some reforms to our industry and our military, we'll be more than ready to retake Vladivostok and Moscow. Falcon stared at the rider, clearly unconvinced. Vasily eyed, standing up and looking out the window. People are getting restless. We have to take our lost territory sooner. United Russia without all Russians is pointless. Precursion sighed, nodding his head reluctantly. Alright, what can I help with? With something the Siberian Falcon knows best. Shukshin had him filed, detailing plans to update the Federation's air doctrines to the best the outdated Luftwaffe in the skies. I want you to lead in the creation of the Federation's new air doctrine. I'm entrusting you with this, Alexander. I think you'll make the Federation proud. Precursion studied the paper before nodding. Of course, Vasily. I'll see what I can do. There we go. Skies belong to Russia. If we are to win the war on the ground, we must ensure that the skies are under the complete and total domination of the Russian Air Force. With several advancements made in technological development and the overhaul of our air doctrine under the guidance of Alexander Precursion, our Air Force has the strength to stand up to Luftwaffe and be a true force of the skies to be reckoned with. Michael, you bring the hard-hitting commentary. President Photographer in Chief never disappoints. Truly. Truly indeed. Advanced developmental phase. Wonderful. Let's do all that for nukes. Philosopher in Chief. Yeah, both sort of work. Let's get a few destroyers going too. I suck at photography. Well, I mean, are you any worse than any of the rest of us? Or that's what I'm wondering. Because if not, the title still might work. Like, we're just maxing out infrastructure. I don't even care, man. Boop. Hey, there you go, Johnny. Unbelievably based. Check glass last wall. There you go. Precursion sauntered towards a sleek flying machine, sunlight glinting on its polished metal wings, a proud smirk on his face. What do you think, Vasily? It's beautiful, isn't it? Not corporate made, that's for sure, the president quipped as he followed closely behind the experienced pilot. The Federation recently released a new batch of combat planes, but Grishkin would be one of the first to try them. Alexander had a massive grin on his face as he soared through the skies in the Federation's newest generation of jet fighter, the MiG-23, an aircraft with enough speed and firepower to challenge Luftwaffe in the skies. How's the weather up there? Shukshin asked through Grishkin's headset. It's fine, Vasily. I've been away from the skies for far too long, Alexander exclaimed as he nosedived, performing several barrel rolls before pulling back up. Well, what do you think, old friend? Is it fast enough to help to win us the skies? Vasily, with an aircraft like this, we could take over the world if we wanted, Grishkin replied as he looked below the clouds of vast plains and numerous rivers on his homeland. Imagine Vasily grinning like an idiot as he pushed the aircraft to go even faster, creating a powerful sound that cracked the skies and propelled him forward. And a sonic boom roared all throughout of Novosibirsk and Russia. Sonic boom, don't tell Chris Chan. Okay. Finally, we have a duty to the Federation. Professional and loyal army is a strong army capable of defeating any and all enemies in its path. We will remind our soldiers what they are fighting for. They do not serve the ruling elites of Russia. Their duty is to the Federation and the millions that call this land home. Timer's about to go off, but we're gonna go ahead and end the video on a cliffhanger. And now's not cliffhangery enough. Meanwhile, the Twitch people are just fucking laughing because they're about to fucking watch us right after. Well, the YouTube people have to wait a day. Maybe even 2 days, 3 days if it's a weekend. And that sucks to suck. Ivan had always wanted to be a soldier. He was yet to be born to defend the motherland against the Nazi invaders, and yet he was too young to join the front during the West Russian War. Yet Ivan had still heard numerous stories of the untold millions who gave their lives to fight for the motherland. Although the face of motherland had changed over the years, his determination never wavered. Thus, on his 18th birthday, Ivan dedicated his army to the liberation of the Russian people and enlisted in the army. On the day of his induction, Ivan and 999 other brave men rose their right hand to their forehead and proudly announced for loyalty to the new Russian state. To Ivan, no greater words have ever been spoken. I, a citizen of the Russian Federation, entering into the ranks of the all-Russian army, take this oath and solemnly promise to be an honest, brave, vigilant fighter, and to defend the Russian people against all that would seek to subjugate them. I'm always prepared to rise to defense of my motherland. To defend it bravely, skillfully, with dignity and honor, sparing neither my blood nor my life for the achievement of total victory over our enemies. Those words would ring throughout his mind for the rest of his life. At that moment, a tear rolled down his cheek. It was his turn to set Russia free.